It's been a year and 2 months since my boyfriend and I started on this crazy idea of living in states 1 to 3 months at a time. Looking back, it feels like it's been forever, but at the same time, it feels like it's gone by really quickly. And so we've been able to live all over the place. And we really wanted to create a video where we could showcase some of the stories that we didn't actually catch on film because they're often the things that are not fun to share. They're the things that are a little less enjoyable about the experiences that we had. But I think that they are all a part of our journey and all of a part of us moving and living in places so quickly. And so I wanted to sit down and create a video to tell you guys about those experiences and to share with you some of our most memorable and maybe some of our most difficult experiences within each state. And then I wanted to give you a recap of where we've been. And then I wanted to show you where we plan to go because guys, we're not planning to do this much longer, which is crazy. And so I want to tell you guys where we plan to go, how much longer we plan to do this, and something that I personally have been struggling with when it comes to ending this traveling. Okay, so we're going to talk about that later in the video, but I want to start with some of our most memorable and most difficult moments in each of the states that we've lived in so far. Okay, and then we have Tennessee. I made an Instagram reel the other day saying our favorite parts of Tennessee, and one of them was leaving Tennessee because I think that is very accurate. One, I booked that Airbnb not really paying attention to the location. I was just like, okay, it fits in our budget and it looks like it has enough space, but it's also in the middle of nowhere in the middle of Tennessee. Yeah, did not do a good job on that one, but it had fantastic Wi-Fi, which was mind-blowing. So it had fantastic Wi-Fi, didn't have any service, so we weren't able to call people. So we had to drive into Kentucky to get service. There was a little town called Tompkinsville that was in Kentucky, about 15 minutes away from us. And so we would drive up past the Kentucky border. We would get to that little town. That's where we could call people. So I distinctly remember one time I needed to call the dentist. And so I was like, okay, I'm driving up there, calling the dentist, trying to get things figured out. And that was a really big hassle. So not a fan of that. It was really good that we did try living that remotely though, because now we can go, yeah, we really don't want to live remotely. So that was helpful. But another thing is that there were a whole bunch of natural weather occurrences and animal occurrences that we were not expecting. So one, the thunderstorms. I have never heard thunder that loud, and it would happen at 2 to 3 a.m. in the morning, and it would just crack over the sky, and it sounded like a gunshot, and it would wake all of us up, and we would be like jumping out of bed, and it was like, what is going on? And the rain was so incredibly hard, and it was coming down all the time. And we were getting constant tornado warnings on our phones going, hey, get into a shelter that's underground. And we're like, well, we're in a cabin in the middle of nowhere that has no service and we don't have a shelter. So we just decided to just try our best to sleep through it regardless. So there were the crazy thunderstorms, the crazy rainstorms. There was one time where the wind was so bad that the Wi-Fi did go out, the power went out, and so we were literally in a cabin with nothing. We're like, this is where we die, because this is where the horror movie starts. So that was one thing. Second thing was the carpenter bees. I personally have now been convinced that I never want a house that's made out of wood that can attract carpenter bees. I'm not sure carpenter bees are on the West Coast, but they are definitely on the Midwest, the East Coast, and they are not harmful but they are very intimidating bees. They are huge and they were eating through the walls, and we could hear them eating through the walls. And I knew just at one point it was going to be like, they're going to just eat through the wall all the way and then burst through, and it's just going to be carpenter bees that live in the house. Like I was 100% convinced that was what was going to happen. So carpenter bees, thunderstorms. There was a pack of something. We thought it was dogs, but it kind of sounded like raccoons, but it was like they were fighting every single night. It was like there were these two gangs that were meeting up and they were just fighting every single night because they would just go off at each other. So Tennessee, we were glad to leave. And then Maryland. So getting into Maryland, again, we always have this habit of just going like to Virginia, doing a couple days stay in Virginia to see my sister, and then we go up to the place. So it was like North Carolina. We drove from North Carolina to Virginia, and then to Tennessee, and then Tennessee to Virginia, and then back up to Maryland. So Maryland, we liked our place a lot better. We had service, we had Wi-Fi. We were 10 minutes away from a store. Yes, winning, loved it. A couple of things that we did not like about Maryland that we didn't mention in any of our stories or posts or anything like that was Maryland is pretty dirty in my opinion. There's a lot of trash everywhere, and the sidewalks and streets are just not that clean, and we could smell it in the air as well. So you come from Tennessee where that was a plus. It smelled incredibly clean and just fresh morning air. And then you move into Maryland and it just smelled like a dirty city. And so that's something that we didn't appreciate about that. And then we were also just very surprised by the drivers. We were like, we quickly came up with this term of be a Maryland driver, where it doesn't matter what the laws are, you're just gonna be aggressive and get to where you need to go as soon as possible. We first saw this demonstration when we were driving into Maryland, and we are driving down the road and this truck comes on the shoulder where you're not supposed to drive. He comes in the shoulder going probably like 60 miles per hour, and then he cuts into traffic and keeps driving. You're like, what? You were not supposed to do that. And then another time we were driving and there was an ambulance coming through, and you're supposed to move to the side of the road for the ambulance. Nobody moved. And so we were like, maybe that's not a thing in Maryland. We looked it up. It's definitely a thing, but people were just not moving. People are honking at you when you're supposed to be stopped. But they're like, you should be going. And you're like, but it's a red light. And they're like honking at you or wanting you to move. And so that was crazy. Maryland was also the place that we signed up for a gym membership. And so there was an LA Fitness right next to us. And we're like, okay, like, let's go in and see if we can sign up for this gym. And, it's pretty typical gym. So nothing too exciting there. They did have a really exciting spin class teacher who was really into it and really loud, really appreciated how 100% he was into his workouts. And so we decided the week before we left that we were going to do a spin class. And so all four of us are doing the spin class together, and it was really enjoyable. And we definitely got our butts kicked in that workout. So that was Maryland. Now, Vermont. And this is the last state we'll talk about because we're in New Hampshire right now. And so the memories are being built. But Vermont, we kind of got some PTSD from Tennessee because we were living in the middle of nowhere again. And that was my bad. But this time it was a little worse because the Wi-Fi didn't work very well. And so it was manageable enough that we didn't have to leave, but it was spotty for sure. And we weren't able to do a lot of like our video gaming on our PCs, which was really unfortunate, but it was really pretty remote. And it was hard because all of the running that I'm training for, the Running Man, had to be done on hills. And so that was something exciting. I think the craziest thing that happened was McCade got this massive bug bite, and we don't know what it was from. We went to the urgent care, and he went to the urgent care, and the lady was like, it could have been a tick, but we're not 100% sure. But this thing and this may be TMI, so if you don't want to hear about this, you can just skip ahead. But this thing was massive and pus filled, and we had never seen a bug bite like this before. And so he said, hey, like, I have a bug bite, and I was like, oh, okay. And then a couple weeks later, he's like, yeah, it's pretty sore and tender. And I was like, okay, well, can I look at it? And he shows me, and I'm like, oh my God, like, this is bad. Like, this is really bad. Like, we need to go to the urgent care. And yes, it did end up being, I believe, a staph infection. And so got antibiotics, made sure he didn't die. So that has been our adventure so far. In terms of where we're going next, we have got a whole lineup of states, and they are more than likely subject to change. Our original plan has changed quite a bit, and so it's probably going to change, but for right now, this is what it looks like. So we've got Maine next, and Maine is going to be for a month. So we're in New Hampshire right now. We're finishing up the month of September in New Hampshire, then we're going to Maine for a month, and then we're going to be in Massachusetts for a month of November. We'll be in Rhode Island for a month of December, and then we're going to go and do a stay in Virginia next to my brother-in-law and sister. That's going to be in January. Then Liv's going to branch off. She is going to be moving to DC to go and be near her boyfriend, and so she's going to be leaving the clan. And then myself, August, and McKade are going to be going down to Louisiana. We're going to be doing a 1-month stay there, and then we're going to be going up to Oklahoma and doing a 1-month stay there. And then Arizona, we're going to be doing a 2-month stay. Colorado, we're going to be doing a 2-month stay back to my home state. And then we're going to end in Utah. And that is going to be the end of our moving adventures, where we'll officially close this chapter. And the goal is to do that in August of 2024. So it will officially have been 2 years of living in states 1 to 3 months at a time. At that point, I believe we'll have hit, I think, 4. So we've already done 4, and then we're doing 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Well, we'll have done 14 states where we've lived. And so it's still a little bit unbelievable to me. It's been an amazing journey. There was a little bit of resistance in me to kind of stop the traveling. I have kind of tied up my identity. Like, I'm worried about my content. Like, well, what then do I post about if I'm not traveling as much? And so there's been that worry on that side of things. But I think that there will be a lot to still post about, and there'll be a lot to still do and learn and continue to grow. And it's not to say that this is the end of our traveling journeys, but it's going to be the end of living and moving all the time, which I'm looking forward to. I'm starting to get tired with how often we move, which is an indication to myself that it's time to close the chapter. But we still have a couple more states that we've got to finish up before we do that. So that's going to be the plan moving forward. And so thanks for tuning in and listening to all of the crazy stories that we've had so far in the different states. That is just scratching the surface. And so there's going to be lots more to come. There's lots more to share, and excited to kind of take you on this journey with us as we go this next year, continuing to live in states. All right, guys. Peace out.